75 grand. Gone. Done. We paid off $75,000 in 15 months. Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel and welcome if you are new. My name is Nicole and today I'm going to do something a little different. We are just coming off of tax season as I am recording this. I thought it'd only be fitting to do sort of a finance related video. I'm going to talk a little bit about our backstory, how we even got into this debt, what our debts actually were and each balance of those debts, the method that we decided to use to tackle this, and then how we adapted that method to actually do it, to actually do the thing. Quick disclaimer, I, Nicole, am not any kind of certified financial person, planner. I'm not no finance guru. I have a degree in advertising, in nowhere related to finances, but I am going to tell you how we paid off this massive amount of debt realistically. And oh yes, was it paid off? All right, so let's just get into it. Let's just jump into it. If I'm looking down, it's because I have my notes down here and I want to try to not miss anything, but this was few years ago, so I'm really trying my best to recollect everything. Let's start off with some backstory. My husband and I got married in 2017 and that wedding was a bit costly. We paid about 30 grand or so on the entirety of our wedding, which we did pay off in full, but that just meant that a lot of our money was being funneled to paying off that wedding, while some other bills weren't getting quite as much attention. And when I say other bills, I mean other debts. At that same time, we did a lot of stuff. Not only did we get married, we bought our first condo, we bought a car, we bought a brand new bed. We were doing all the things because we were newlyweds and you just want to have it all, right? We were both making income. We both had good jobs. We had some money in our savings and we were putting some money towards debt every month. But despite us having a good dual income, it still was not enough to really tackle the amount of debt that we had. And we knew that as long as we had this debt, it was continuing to hold us back from other things that we really wanted to do. For example, invest more. We needed to figure out a way to pay down this debt and use our money to grow more money. Neither myself or my husband really had great financial literacy. No one taught us from a young age how to deal with finances. All we knew is that you need to save money. That's it. That's all we were told. Save money. But you start to realize saving money does not equal making money. Let me repeat. Saving money does not equal making money. Meaning, if your money is sitting there, you have a pile of money and it's sitting there in your savings account, in your bank account, or hopefully not under your mattress or in your closet in some safe, that money is doing nothing for you. That money is not working for you. It is not growing. It is sitting there and it is losing its purchasing power every year because of things like inflation. And that's, a whole nother realm that many people can lecture you on, inflation. But the gist of it is, if your money is just sitting there and not working for you, it's losing its purchasing power every single year that you have it do that. So that's kind of the backstory of where we were at, kind of our mindset of what we wanted to do, but just didn't know what the heck to do. At the time, we had several credit cards. My husband and I, we have a joint bank account. We have always had a joint bank account ever since we were married because we figured that our finances are more powerful together. So what his plan was is that we are going to take all of our credit cards and then just continue to pay off as much money as possible to that credit card. So not paying the minimum balance, but throwing basically every dollar that we could at that credit card that was available for us outside of expenses. And we found every month we had no money. Like we had no money reserves. We didn't have enough money to pay for things. It was just a continuous cycle of trying to throw a bunch of money at a credit card, and then something would come up, an expense would come up, an emergency would come up, and we have no way to pay for those things other than withdrawing from that credit card again. It was a vicious cycle that we were not getting out of. So what I started to do was researching different debt payoff methods. And there are a ton of videos online on YouTube, people spitting out information about debt payoff. So there's all these finance gurus. There's Dave Ramsey's over here telling people, what the heck are you doing? Why did you even get in this debt? Grant Cardone is over here being kind of off the wall, right? So there's all these people talking about finances, and you don't know who to listen to. Or at least we didn't. But I was trying to be a sponge, and I was trying to absorb as much information as possible to come down to a solution that was realistic, that my husband and I could practically do. I started to come across these people talking about paying off large sums of money. $50,000 paid off, $75,000 paid off, $150,000 paid off. Like people paying off entire mortgages, 30-year mortgage loan in basically 5 to 7 years. I knew that we had about 60 or 70 grand in total between my husband and I in debt that we were trying to pay off. What a lot of these videos talked about, we're taught that debt is bad, right? That's what we know. You're in debt, that's bad. But as I was researching these videos, they talked about how debt is essentially what rich people are using to fund a lot of their own purchases and a lot of their own deals. And so we landed on this method called velocity banking. What the heck is velocity banking? If you've not heard of this method is used to pay off debt, increase your cash flow, lower your expenses, and raise your credit score, all using your own income. The premise of velocity banking is you need to acquire a strategic debt weapon, and you're going to use this debt weapon to attack your debt chunk by chunk. This debt weapon can be a personal line of credit, and you want to use it as if it's a checking account. The reason why you want to acquire a strategic debt weapon, so strategic being this debt is calculated based on simple interest and not amortized interest. There's a lot of other videos that can go into more depth about the different types of interest related to debt. If you've ever bought a home before and you're signing the papers, in your contract, you'll see all of the payments listed that you will be paying for years and years and years on your house, all the way 30 years out if you have a 30-year mortgage. And you will see that interest is amortized, and you're truly paying 2 or 3 times the value of that one house. So your debt weapon, like a personal line of credit, is simple interest. It is revolving credit. You can pull money out of that continuously without being penalized. That line of credit is coming from a bank. You're essentially using the bank's money to pay down your debt, and you're using your income to pay back that line of credit. We'll go into that more detail, but that's just kind of the premise of what velocity banking is. What you need to do first, and this is whether you're doing velocity banking or not, you need to know your 4 important numbers. And I mean these numbers you need to know down to the dollar. What is your total net income for the month? 2, what are your expenses every month? Down to the dollar. How much are you paying towards every expense? 3, how much debt do you have? Make a list of all of your debts, add them up. Get the number that you are trying to tackle. 4, what is your cash flow? And when I say cash flow, that means what is your income, your net income, minus all of those expenses. Even if it's not a bill, even if you're giving money to charity every month, that is included as an expense because you are not leaving that money free to do something else. Those are the 4 numbers that you need to know. We already roughly had, my husband and I, a spreadsheet of our kind of monthly expenses, all of our credit cards. My husband, he's a numbers guy, and he needs to know down to the dollar where all the money is going. which is perfect because I need to know the information as well, but he is like 10 times better at spreadsheets than I am. He does spreadsheets for fun. Once we had all of those numbers listed, we went to our bank and we opened a personal line of credit. You want to try and get one that is the lowest interest rate you can. It's not a huge deal because it is calculated simple interest. Like I mentioned, it's not amortized, but still the lower interest, the better. And so we went to go open ours. I believe it was about 9 to 10% at that time. And we opened our line of credit for about 30 grand. So now that we have this line of credit, we have 30 grand to work with. And what we need to do was figure out which debts we wanted to tackle first. The premise of velocity banking, again, is you use this debt weapon or line of credit to make big chunk payments on your debt, and you pay back that line of credit with your cash flow income. I can go over what all of our debts were. One credit card was my husband's, and that was for around $4,700. I had another credit card, had a balance of $36.86, I believe. We had another credit card that was used for medical bills, our dog's medical bills, because at the time he was going through a lot of surgeries and he had a lot of health issues. So we had a credit card just for his medical bills, and that credit card balance was at $82.39. My husband had another credit card with a balance of $5,015 or so. We had another credit card based off of a bed that we purchased from, I believe it was Mattress Firm. When we got married, they bought like a fancy new bed, king size. It had the adjustable base, it massages and everything. We still have it to this day. We love that bed. It was a huge investment. Probably should have shopped around more, not gonna lie. We agreed to buy it because it was on 0% interest using their credit card. That bill was about $7,500. I had student loans that I was still working to pay down, and at this point in time, my student loans were down to $21,284 and some change. And then we had a car loan that we had been paying off, and then at this current time where we made our list of debts, it was at $15,711 and some change. All of that debt right there added up to $66,137.96. Now that we had this chunk of money, this personal line of credit, we actually decided to add to our debt a little more. And I know that sounds crazy, but yeah, it was crazy. We decided to withdraw right away another about 9 grand or $89.50. We decided to withdraw that right away and take that money and invest it into some stocks, because we saw some stocks were on the low and we had a very good feeling that those stocks were gonna go up. We figured that if the potential for that money to grow is greater than the amount of interest we were paying on that line of credit, then it would be worth it. I can talk about our stock investment stuff in a whole different video, because spoiler alert, a good decision that we did that. But so now in total, we had like over 75 grand in debt. And what we decided to do was make a plan to work on the smaller balances first to help us build some momentum and make sure that this method was practical and that it was working for us and that we weren't hurting every month, hurting for money. So what we did, we calculated the amount of money we wanted to withdraw from our personal line of credit based on how much cash flow realistically we could pay back. So I know that sounds confusing, but let me just give you an example. If you have $6,000 credit card that you want to pay off, and you calculate all your 4 numbers and you see that your cash flow every month is $1,000. Your net income minus all of your expenses, you have $1,000 left over. If you have $1,000 cash flow and you know that you want to pay off a $6,000 credit card, what you do is you withdraw $6,000 from that personal line of credit that you opened up, and then boom, pay off your entire $6,000 balance credit card. Wipe out that debt so that credit card is gone and you don't have to worry about it anymore, and you don't have to worry about the interest that is accruing with that credit card. And then every month, as you're getting paid from your paycheck or your income, that $1,000, you are paying back your line of credit every month for the next 6 months until that line of credit balance is back to zero. If that makes sense, you are paying off something that is high interest right away, freeing up your cash flows, freeing up more cash flow because of the monthly payment that you're continuing to make on that credit card. And you get rid of that credit card much quicker, raises your credit score. Then if you were to pay off that credit card months from now, years from now, boom, that credit card's dead, your credit score is being raised. And now you are paying back your own line of credit again, which is calculated simple interest. You're paying it every 2 weeks or every week or how often that you get paid. So the amount of interest you have to pay back is going down and down. So that's basically what we did. We decided how far out we felt comfortable paying back our line of credit from whatever chunk of money we took out in order to get our line of credit back to the zero. Before we do anything, we're gonna put $1,000 in our savings account. And that $1,000 is gonna be there untouched. It's in case of emergency, could get us over a hump if we needed it. Outside of that, any other cash flow that we had, our income minus our expenses that we were paying every month, all of that money was going to be thrown into this sort of velocity banking debt payoff. The example I used earlier was taking sort of a 6 months worth chunk of money from your line of credit. We decided to do a 3 months worth chunk payment because we were super new to this method and we didn't know if it would work. We had done a ton of research and seen a lot and continue to watch other people do it in different scenarios. Even though we did the math over and over again, something happened in 3 months and this whole thing messed us up, but it's fine because it's only a few months. We calculated what our cash flow was times 3, because times 3 months, our cash flow was about $2,000 at that time. I don't remember how much it was exactly, but I'm rounding numbers to make it easier. It was $2,000 every month, 2, 4, 6, 3 months would be $6,000 total. We knew that we could pay back $6,000 in 3 months because our cash flow at the time was $2,000. We took our first $6,000 out. Let's just say I'm rounding numbers. So we took that $6,000 from the line of credit, put it all towards our 2 smallest credit cards. Boom, those debts were either gone or significantly lessened. It freed up the monthly payment that we were making every month to those credit cards. And now, for the next 3 months, every time we got paid, we took our cash flow number and threw it back to pay back personal line of credit. Both my husband and I got paid every 2 weeks, so it was about 4 times a month we were making a new payment to that line of credit, bringing down our line of credit's daily interest. And 3 months went by like that. All of a sudden, that line of credit was back to zero. We owed $0. And those credit card debts, the amount $6,000 of our credit card debt was gone. So at that point, we were like, hey, this was easy. Not only did we take care of $6,000 worth of debt, we freed up our monthly payments that we were making towards those credit cards. So then the next round, when those 3 months ended, we did it again. Withdrew from our line of credit what we could pay back within 3 months' time. And this time it wasn't $6,000, it was a different amount because my husband and I, we were getting raises, we were getting increases from our jobs, which increased our cash flow at the time. So we were withdrawing a little more from our line of credit. However much we knew that we could pay back within 3 months. And then boom, at that mark, more debts were instantly gone. Paid them off completely with our line of credit money. And for those next 3 months, the same thing. We took how much our available cash flow was. Every time we got paid, threw it back at the line of credit to pay it back. And then in 3 months, that line of credit was back to zero and we had less credit cards. And then so again, we did it again. After that, we saw our debts were going down. We had built momentum. Our credit scores were going up. We took, again, the third time, another chunk of money, withdrew it from our line of credit, which was at a balance of 0. We withdrew another 3 months worth of money that we knew we could pay back. And at this point, by the third sort of batch of withdrawals we had paid down every single credit card we had, including paid back the money that we had initially taken out for the stock investments that we wanted to do. All we had left to pay off was partial of the car loan that was left and partial of the student loan balance that I had left. And on our fourth time that we wanted to withdraw money, we had gotten really confident in what we were doing. We felt like it was really working for us. We were seeing our debts wiped out, our credit cards being paid off. We decided, you know what, we're just gonna go for it. We're gonna make this our last withdrawal and to pay off the rest of this balanced debt and just be done with it. So it ended up calculating out to be 6 months worth of a chunk payment that we knew we could pay back, withdrew that money from the line of credit, paid off the rest of the entire car loan, and paid off the rest of the entire balance of my student loans. That day, technically, all of our debts were paid off, but we still have to pay back this line of credit. We had calculated out we could pay it back with our available cash flow within 6 months' time. We did that every month. Every time we got paid, we paid back that line of credit until the 6 months was up and it was back to a 0 balance. Those 4 batches of withdrawals, 1 was a 3-month payback, 2 was another 3-month payback, 3, again, we did a 3-month payback, and then 4 on our last one was 6-month payback. So it took us truly 15 months, so just a little over a year. Let me tell you, that day that we made our final payment to our line of credit, we were just so still in disbelief that we did that we were able to pay off $75,000 on our own with no one teaching us from a young age how we were supposed to do it. No classes that gave us financial literacy in credit or debt. We just knew that we had a goal and we had to figure out something, some way to work toward it. It was just the most unbelievable day. I can do like the pros and cons of what happened. Pros being right away, you are getting debts paid off quickly because you're paying them off with the bank's money rather than your own money. And it really builds that momentum to show you that you can do this. Another pro is the ability to project exactly how quickly you will be debt free. You can calculate down to the month because you are the one who is deciding how much chunk payments you want to withdraw from your line of credit in order to tackle each of your debts. You are coming up with that number. So you can calculate down to the month when you will be debt free. And third, a big pro of this method is that you are leveraging a line of credit to pay off this debt. It is a revolving door of money. If there were an emergency, fortunately for us, there were not. During that entire 15 months, we did not have an emergency come up. We did have that $1,000 base, but if there were an unfortunate emergency that came up where we needed $3,000, $2,500 right away, that line of credit, you can still pull more money from it without being penalized. Even though you still have money that you're paying back, you can pull more money from it and continue your velocity banking, recalculating your numbers. You can't do that with other types of debt. For instance, a car loan debt. You can never pull money out of that if you had an emergency. I would say the biggest con of this method, I don't even know if I can call it a con, but the biggest thing to note is that you must be disciplined. You really have to have the will and discipline to know that this is something that you really want and that you really want to work towards, and you have a plan and you stick to that plan. You stick to your numbers. You really have to be disciplined. You, if you're doing this yourself, you and your partner, if you're doing this with a spouse, either one, it works either way. but you have to be on the same page. This is what you need to do, and you need to stick to the numbers and the plan. Velocity banking is something that anyone can do. You don't have to be a math whiz. Anyone can calculate your own income and expenses. And I will also link down below some really helpful resources and videos like Denzel Rodriguez on YouTube. I've watched a ton of his videos. He has a ton of information about velocity banking and does math scenarios. I even think he takes on clients to help. But I am telling you, if you're someone who has a large amount of debt and you feel that this is just a normal thing, you're never gonna get out of it, it's just what happens. No, you can get out of debt. I am a normal, regular person. My husband is a normal, regular person. And I'm telling you, just do the work, do the research, calculate your numbers, know where your money is going, and make a plan on how to get to that debt-free realm. When you reach $0 debt, it'll be a sweet, sweet day. You won't feel like your money is being chained down. You can literally do whatever you want with your money now. I can tell you now, today, we have decided to be in debt again. But we are taking on very strategic debt. We had freed up our money to now invest in real estate, invest more in stocks. We are able to leverage our money to grow more money. That used to be such a far off idea. It doesn't have to be that way. I'm just telling you our experience on how velocity banking worked for us. I will definitely link below some resources where you can get more in depth into how the method works. If this video was helpful for you at all, please let me know that in the comments. But if you want me to do other finance related videos or budget videos, or even talk about how we got into real estate investing or stocks, I can tell you our experiences. If you want to hang out with me some more, go ahead and subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.